Russell Wilson has a new home. He's going to take his talents to the Giants. He's going to the Giants. The former Steelers quarterback, former Broncos quarterback, and former Seattle quarterback gets a 1-year contract. I said number one, just one.
Number one.
So he gets $21 million. It's good work if you can find it. So Russ gets that money. The Giants were said to be looking around, scavenging, trying to find another quarterback. They also signed Jameis Winston a couple days ago. So they have Jameis Winston on one side and Russell Wilson on the other. So let us discuss the question for the esteemed panel. Is Russell Wilson a good fit with the Giants? So I've got hydrogen peroxide, Gypsy King, and Koala Bear. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make pharmacy-grade aspirin. Because you need pharmacy-grade aspirin when you hear of Russell Wilson and the Giants side by side. Like that what are you doing? Right? That's a disaster is what that is. All right, so is it a good fit? It is an unnecessary fit. And I like to try to force something in that doesn't really belong where it's going. You're forcing it in. And the Maller report card, the report card of record for Russell Wilson going from free agency land to the Giants, the Maller report card, the Giants adding Russell Wilson, that gets the D. They get a D. The Giants have now cornered the market, the New York Giants, on middling to bad quarterbacks. So congratulations. Now, we like Jameis Winston because every once in a while he's great, and even when he's bad, he's spectacular. And the Giants have had plenty of bad quarterbacks, but they're boring bad. At least Jameis Winston's fun bad. You want fun bad. If you're going to be bad, you want fun bad. You don't want bad bad. You want fun bad. Fun bad better than bad bad. And Russell Wilson's bad bad. Jameis Winston's fun bad. And yet, it appears that, barring some kind of drastic turn of events here, that Russ is going to be handed the Giants' starting job, at least at the beginning of the year. And so, Russell Wilson, bad, old bad, all that bad, bad to the bone. And throwing Russ into the quarterback room there with the Giants, throwing him in there as, I guess, the keynote speaker, if you will, for the Giants, it's kind of like mixing in hydrogen peroxide and vinegar. Hydrogen peroxide and vinegar side by side. I am told that is combined a parasitic acid. That's a problem. It turns into acid. It's a bit of an issue there. But Wilson, remember a couple years back when we had the pandemic there and everyone was locked in their homes and all that, and only a few people could go out, and you had to be essential. We found out that overnight sports radio host essential. We learned that. We also learned that Russell Wilson, not essential. He is a non-essential worker at this particular point in his NFL sojourn, and he met with the Giants a couple weeks ago. To my knowledge, nothing has changed in terms of Russell Wilson's ability to throw the football. They got together, they had a meeting, and he waited. He met with the Cleveland Browns. He waited. And no one was really all that interested. And then it turns out that the Giants really wanted Aaron Rodgers, and he didn't want them. And so they circled back to add Russell Wilson, who is like a placeholder, but not a good one. You know, he's kind of just there. He's a guy, and he'll talk a lot and all that. Godspeed to Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors there and the other pass catchers for the Giants. Good luck. Now, turning the page, how would you describe Russell Wilson and his recent NFL resume? Let's take a couple steps back, kind of look around the room here and look at Russell Wilson, look at the body of work he's done here for a number of years. Now, not just since he left Seattle, even the last year or two in Seattle. And Russell Wilson went from a somewhat reliable investment to a Cabbage Patch NFT. Just real volatile and flimsy, and In fact, not even volatile. Very rarely does he play well. I mean, most of it's just garbage. Just garbage after garbage after garbage. And Russ, he's like the Gypsy King at this point. What he's been able to do, I give him credit. You're going to say, oh, you're being critical, you're going to rip Russ. I actually give the guy credit, and I'm impressed at what he's been able to pull off. This is one of the great hustles that I've seen in years, and it's a reminder that once people make their mind up that you're one way, people don't like to change their mind. People decided that Russell Wilson was a above-average NFL quarterback, and even though his body of work reeks of rotting feces, yet the NFL continues to give him opportunities. It's wild. He is the Gypsy King. At this point, Russell Wilson is the Gypsy King, not the boxer. He's a traveling gypsy that goes from town to town to town trying to outfox authorities, trying to evade his capture. And then Russell Wilson went from Seattle to Denver and now Pittsburgh and the Giants. He's like working as like a handyman. He's like a handyman guy. And he does some work, albeit poor quality work. So it's not like he does nothing. He does work a little bit. Not great quality. And the whole time he's going around trying to looking for cash. He's trying to get cash and he's trying to get valuables and all that. And Russ has been able to pull it off. He looks for franchises that have had emotionally unstable quarterback rooms, right? That they've had bad problems, trying to find someone who's reliable under center. And he laughs all the way to the bank. Just chuckle. I mean, it's the funniest thing in the world. Just laughs his ass off all the way to the bank and proving beyond a reasonable doubt, by the way, that you once the mind's made up, as we said, and people determine you're one way, even if you don't do that anymore, you can continue to bounce around as a grifter and make money. The Russell Wilson marching in Chowder Society able to hornswoggle the Giants out of another $10 million, $10.5 million in guaranteed money. And we are going to get a lot of cringeworthy stuff. Everywhere Russ has been, there's something really wackadoodle, which is kind of fun, right? Seattle, you had the Mr. Unlimited. You had the nano bubbles. He was pitching water that could prevent concussions or cure concussions, one of those two things, or both. And you had in Denver, he was goose-stepping down the aisle of a transcontinental flight while everyone's trying to sleep when he was with the Broncos there. They were over the Atlantic Ocean, and he had to do little exercises there. And in Pittsburgh, there was a whole cadre of ridiculousness that Russ had when he played in Pittsburgh. So you're going to get what? You're going to get hot yoga from Russ. You're going to get some of that. You're going to get all kinds of just goober activity. And it's red meat for those tabloids, which are still hanging on in the age of social media. New York City still got tabloids, and so they'll have a field day with that. Good luck. And, yeah. And there's also a chance that all of this is for naught, because the Giants will go out and they're going to add a quarterback. It's conceivable they'll still add a quarterback in the draft, although I think that's still a toss-up at this particular point where they do actually draft the quarterback. The rumors are that Shadur Sanders is going to be the guy, and we'll see whether that actually comes to fruition or not. There's other conflicting reports about that. And so that is where we find ourselves at this particular point. Can someone do a wellness check on Tommy Cutlets? I think Tommy Cutlets not long for the Giants. Because if they draft a quarterback, they're not going to keep 4 quarterbacks, so you got to get rid of 1. All right, now the last word here. With Russell Wilson locked in for 1 year with the Giants, you can feel all the angst from the Giants fans. So with Russell Wilson going to the Giants, what does this mean for the Steelers? The terrible towels of Pittsburgh, PA. So Pittsburgh clearly did not think much of their quarterback room last year, and they have decided to bring some bleach in and fumigate it and get rid of everything, and we're done here, and there's asbestos, and we got to get rid of that too. Clearly blaming Russell Wilson and Justin Fields for the downfall of the Steelers a year ago. Otherwise, one of them would have been brought back. They didn't even attempt to bring either one of them back, which I agree with. They both had stank all over them. And as they fumigate the quarterback room here, it's kind of obvious where this is headed. And I think we know. I think we know where this is headed. And it's an A and an R. Aaron Rodgers, as the great master Yoda said back in the day in Star Wars, if once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. And somewhere at a location, maybe in Malibu, could be in Northern California, could be somewhere in the Amazon. We're not sure exactly where. But somewhere Aaron Rodgers is planning his trip to Pittsburgh for a meet and greet to be welcomed into the fold there officially as a Pittsburgh Steeler. Right now, though, he's still acting like a koala bear at the San Diego Zoo. He's taking his time. He's in a darkness retreat somewhere, trying to figure everything out here. Rodgers conserving his energy. Very important to conserve your energy here, is sleeping and resting, much like a koala bear, all the time there. And you've got DK Metcalf on one side. You've got George Pickens in the wide receiver room. If Aaron Rodgers decides at the last minute, psych, I don't really want to play. I'm just kidding. If he decides that, then the Steelers are going to be either rolling out the rotting carcass of Mason Rudolph, or Pittsburgh will end up doing what? They're going to have to trade for Kirk Cousins, or go get the Pasternak from the Patriots, who's the backup there, or somebody like that. I mean, good luck. Good luck. They already had him in Pittsburgh back in the day.